Let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers as they are already closing in on the beginning of the preseason. Their first preseason game in just under a week. Shoot, we watched the Hall of Fame game last night. Kenny Pickett taking the field for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, we'll leave that at that. But as far as the Steelers are concerned, one of the fan base's biggest complaints under the entire Tomlin era, specifically under Matt Canada and Artie Smith, is their lack of effective tight end usage. Not only effective, it wasn't even a lack. It felt like they entirely dismissed the idea of utilizing tight ends in the correct manner, the manner that every other team has been using tight ends over the past decade. I would expect, and I think it's fair to expect, that that's going to change under Mike McCarthy. I think anybody who has watched any Mike McCarthy coach team, whether that's the Dallas Cowboys of the early 2020s or the Green Bay Packers of the 2010s, Mike McCarthy likes some tight ends, right? We look back specifically at the Cowboys because that's the most recent sample size that we've seen. In 2023, Jake Ferguson finished with 761 yards receiving. In 2021, Dalton Schultz finished with 808 yards receiving. In 2020, Schultz again finished with 615 yards. Meanwhile, under the tutelage of Matt Canada and Artie Smith, Pat Freiermuth is averaging 583 yards a season, below all three of the three Cowboys that I just mentioned. Darnell Washington is starting to gain some momentum, but still averaging just 213 yards per season. He has a smaller sample size, but he is tight end number 2, or has been tight end number 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would imagine that this season we see elevated usage. The question becomes, how will they utilize them? I think Pat Freiermuth is going to be the guy. Like, I enjoy Darnell Washington. I think that he is going to have a very big role for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, particularly on third down. I mean, anytime you can just dump it 3 yards down the field, even if it's 3rd and 7, and you have a over 60% chance that Darnell Washington is going to be able to carry 2 and or 3 players for the first down, that's a weapon. And I expect them to utilize that weapon to the fullest extent. But I think down in and down out, drive in and drive out, it's going to be Pat Freiermuth who steps up the most for that tight end room. And it's something we've all been waiting for. We've all wanted to see Pat Freiermuth get utilized in the way that his talent seemingly is supposed to be used. You look at, the way that he's been utilized in his career by those 2 offensive coordinators, and it was just, well, you might be part of the game plan as a safety valve, but we're not going to actually make you a focal point unless it's against the Cincinnati Bengals. Right? That's the funniest part of Pat Freiermuth, is he is a Hall of Fame level tight end against the Cincinnati Bengals, and then they just don't utilize him against anyone else in that same fashion. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It made no sense. I understood that, hey, it's a matchup thing, but you're telling me that the Bengals are the only team that creates a matchup defensively to where Pat Freiermuth is the guy you need to go to. Against the Bengals in his career, Pat Freiermuth has 619 yards. The second highest total yardage against any opponent from Muth is half of that, 297 against the Cleveland Browns. So what I want to see going into this year is Pat Freiermuth becoming the next Dalton Schultz. I want to see Pat Freiermuth becoming the next Jake Ferguson. I want to see him be a focal point of this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And then it's going to be difficult to get the ball around, because what we're seeing now is the Steelers go from a team that didn't have a lot of weapons and Freiermuth wasn't getting the ball, to a team that has a lot of weapons, and you could all of a sudden see Freiermuth start getting the ball. You have DK Metcalf on the outside. And you know why they can't double him? Because they have Michael Pittman Jr. on the other side. And as of right now, it feels like Roman Wilson might be poised to step up and take a more significant role. Jeremy Bernard is thought of very highly around the fan base. So you have all of these pieces, not to mention your offensive line should be able to take a step forward and give your quarterback just a little bit more time. Maybe that extra time can be used to develop more than just a check down route for Pat Freiermuth and for Darnell Washington. So I'm expecting big things from the tight end room this year, and I'm expecting big things specifically from Pat Freiermuth in the 2026 season.